So a common question that I'm asked is can I start my consulting business even though I'm still teaching? And one of the biggest myths that I hear is that people will say, I guess I got to quit my job if I want to start consulting. And I just want to be clear when I say, please do not do that. For most educators, I actually recommend the opposite. I would say for you to build the business first and then let the business tell you when it's time to quit. So the first thing that I'm going to say is you do not have to quit your job to build your business. That is just not true. It's not realistic and it's not really necessary. Your teaching position is not the thing that's standing in the way of your business. It's actually the thing that's going to help to fund your business. And it keeps you from having to operate out of desperation. So think about it. If you quit your job, you have no income coming in, you're starting this new thing, you don't really know what to do, how to do it, and now the house note is due, the car note is due, you got to feed your kids. That's a recipe for a disaster. So if you think about your paycheck being the income that you need to fund your next endeavor, your new dream. And it also buys you patience. It lets you to be able to say no to opportunities that are not for you. I had someone who works in classroom management and someone wanted her to do a training for parents on social media. And she did the training and it was horrible because that's not what she does, but she did it because she needed the money. So when you have other income coming in, it makes it a lot easier for you to say no. And it lets you invest a little bit into the business each month as opposed to trying to rush and build this business. So that's exactly why I say to people, stay at your job and let's find 2 or 3 hours each day to put towards building the business, because most of us like stability. And stability is not the enemy of ambition, but stability is the thing that's going to fund it, and then we're going to move with greater ambition. So instead of thinking about quitting, I would recommend that you think about building. Think about what you're going to build. Your goal right now is to create options, not create panic, not to create desperation and all that other stuff that happens when we make a rash decision or an emotional decision. The next point I want to make is make sure that you know your district's outside employment policy. So I talk to so many educators, and this is an area that creates a lot of tension for them. So before you accept $1 of consulting work, I want you to read your district's policy on outside employment. Every district is different. Y'all, I can talk. I'm just tongue-tied right now. And this, every district is definitely different. And so this is one of those moments where 5 minutes can make the difference between you being called into HR and you having a peaceful day. Most districts do allow outside work, and they usually allow it as long as you know where the line is. You're not trying to double dip. But there are some common sense things that you need to put in place. And so they typically want to see that the work doesn't interfere with your teaching job, first of all. That's first. And then second, it can't be performed during contractual hours. Y'all stop doing work during your contracted hours. And don't use the district computer. Get your own computer. And it can't create conflict of interest. So you can't have a kid in your class who you talk to their parent and their parent calls you over to their organization to do a training. That's a conflict of interest. And you cannot use the district's resources without permission. You cannot take the stuff that you got from the training. You cannot use their books and all of those resources that we use. Just go buy your own version of it. And I want you to listen to this. I want you to take this in and really listen to what I'm saying. I talk to a lot of consultants, and what they're doing, they're taking everything that they're using at school, and I really do mean taking everything that they're using at school, and then they're creating a product. And it's the same thing they do at school. That's a conflict of interest. And so you have to set stuff up and design it so that it's professional and not infringing upon the work that you do at school. But if you know the rules, that eliminates the fear. And that's part of the problem. We haven't done the investigation, the work to see what the rules are. And, you'll be able to move with a greater sense of confidence when you know. And I'll make this note to those who are in administration. Administration has a different level of rules than what the teaching staff has. Teaching staff can typically create a business as long as it's not a conflict. They can have the web page and they can do all of that. When you're in the administrative level, you need to really read your contract over. And that doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that you need to be strategic about how you go about doing it. First of all, we need to stop talking. Let me just say, stop talking. Stop telling your neighbor, stop telling your colleague, stop being excited and letting them know I'm starting my consulting business. That is what creates the problem. And then, inviting everybody to your page. Don't do that. Why would you invite the very people who work at the job that you're at? Don't invite them. You don't even have to tell them about it. And the page should be in your business name. I'm talking about social media now. And so those are it just popped into my head that's normally what creates the problem. I have very rarely spoken to a consultant who had a problem having their business and being an employee. The problem only came when they ran their mouth. I'm just telling you. So it's not a fear of starting the business or being out, or creating a conflict. Most times we talk too much. We tell everything that's happening, and we think that the people who we work with are our friends, and they are not. So just be quiet. And the same thing goes for administrators. I was a school principal. I started my business while I was working as a school principal. 0 people knew. 0 people. Because once you start talking to people, sometimes people are just happy for you and they'll say, oh, Dr. D is starting her business. And then that word travels to the next person. No, we're moving in silence. We're moving in silence. And then the third thing that I'll say is, and this part really surprises me because you would think that you would know this, but most successful consultants didn't build their business during the school day. There are people who want to build their business during the school day, and that's just not how it works. We build them in the margins of our lives, including me. I got up at 5 a.m. every day, and I put an hour into my business, and then I used 6 to 6:45 to get dressed and get out the door, and then I arrived at 7:20 at work. It's the same schedule that I used to do my dissertation, the same schedule that I used to get through my master's program. So instead of trying to cram it into the day while I'm at work, which with all of the interruptions is nearly impossible, what I did was I just created a block of 1 solid hour in the morning where my kids were asleep, my husband was still in the bed, I could get total silence. And then every Wednesday, I would go to the library, my college library, and I would do work in my business. And then Saturday and Sunday, I would take 2 hours minimum, 4 hours maximum on Saturday and on Sunday to work in my business. But I knew I had big goals. And so I knew that I really needed to be consistent and create the momentum. But all I'm saying is build the time to create the time to build your business in the other parts of your life, not in the school day. I talk to people who will say, I'm going to use my lunchtime or I'm going to use my planned period. That does not work. Just plain and simple, that does not work. So we have evenings, we have weekends, we have summer breaks, we have holidays, we have off days. Those are the times that are most powerful and when you'll get the best productive work out. You don't need to do 40 hours a week in your business. First of all, let's clear that up. And you're not going to find 40 hours anyway, so let's not pretend like you are. But we're also not going to sit back and wait until the time shows up. The time is not going to show up. You don't have the time. You got to create the time. And it's never going to be comfortable. There's always going to be something. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to start, just start. What you need is consistency, and you're going to have to remove some stuff, say no to some people, and create the time on your schedule. All you really need, 2 focused hours every Sunday to get started. 2 focused hours, or maybe you're going to do Saturday, or maybe you're going to do Thursday. Whatever it is that you're going to do, protect it and repeat it. And within a year, that business will turn into something that you will be absolutely amazed at. And that's on a small but steady scale. I recommend to people 10 hours a week. If you can do 10 hours a week, think about what you can take off your plate. Stop scrolling, stop watching Tubi, stop watching YouTube, stop learning all this stuff you keep learning. And I think that's a bigger piece of the problem. If we stop learning and start doing, you'll find a lot more time. And especially with AI. We now have AI, so we don't have to do all of that learning. It's going to tell you exactly what to do. So all I'm saying is don't wait for more time. Use the time you already have, but use it on purpose. And that's the thing that we're not doing. You don't have to answer every phone call. You don't have to respond to every text immediately. You don't have to know everything that's going on social media. I digress. I move on. My next point is going to be, make sure that you are building revenue before you replace the revenue. So one of the biggest financial mistakes that educational consultants make is trying to replace a guaranteed paycheck with hope. Now, when I just said it, that should say that somebody should be clicking their head saying, yeah, that don't make sense. Hope is a beautiful thing, but hope is not a strategy. I will repeat and repeat and repeat. Hope is not a strategy. People, it's great to have hope, but hope is not a strategy. And so, let's have a way to replace our income. Let's bring in some revenue. Let's build the revenue, because hope ain't paying the mortgage. Hope is not paying your car note. Hope is not, when you call those places to say, I don't have your money this month, they're not going to say, oh, Hope took care of it. Hope is not going to take care of it. The smarter move is to let these 2 incomes overlap for 1 season. That's the goal. Your teaching income right now is providing the floor, your bare minimum, while your consulting income is going to grow on top of it. So when your business starts to produce revenue, something powerful is going to happen. You're going to get to make the next decision from a place of confidence instead of a place of desperation, because you already have your bills paid. Now you have this extra money. So you're going to be choosing from the future instead of fleeing from the present that you're in when you quit your job and don't have any money. And that's a completely different energy. I will tell you, when I got my first set of money from consulting, I was working full time. I was in the school system, building principal. Went to North Carolina to do a training for a group of for a principal and his staff, and I was paid $5,500. I went, I did the training, caught a flight, paid those little expenses, came back. That money was able to pay off 2 of my credit cards. It would have taken me like 18 months to get those credit cards paid off, just working with my regular paycheck and, because the bills it's already accounted for. So when I got that $5,500, it made me realize, oh my goodness, I can get all of my stuff paid off so that when I leave in May, I won't have any of those small bills, just my regular bills. But I had already done one contract. I saw what the money can do, and it came in bigger numbers. That check came $5,500. And I was able to take, I think I did like $2,800 to one credit card and like $2,300 or $2,000 to another credit card. That eliminated that debt. And so I didn't have to make those $60 payments and $55 payments every month that I had been making for 2 years, because my entire check was spent every month, every time I got it, twice a month, because I was, I'm a mom. I have kids, rent, mortgage, or whatever you call it, car note, insurance, water bill, trash bill, grocery bill, paying for sports, all of the things, right? So that money was already gone. So I didn't have an extra $5,000 or $6,000 that was coming in that I could pay the credit cards off. So that allowed me to see that. And that grounded me in the idea that, oh, the money can, if I just push on through, I can pay some stuff off and be in a better position. And then the last thing that I'm going to tell you is know when it's time to make a transition. There's no single magic number for most of us when to leave education. But the right moment depends on your goals. It depends on your family. It depends on your financial cushion and how consistent your business income has become. Some educators reach that point as soon as they start consulting. They sign a couple of contracts and they know that this is going to outpace their salary, and they know they can leave at the end of this school year. Other people, I was working with Tangeray, and Tangeray stayed for 2 years, and in her 3rd year, she said, I'm going to get all of my bills paid off through consulting money. I'm going to get all of my bills paid off, and I'm going to have a $10,000 cushion. And once I have that, that's when I know it'll be time for me to leave. And that's exactly what happened. She made her $10,000. She paid off all of her credit card debt and all of the other debt that she had. And then she started her consulting business. And right now, Tangeray is still in her business, not working full time at anyone's job. So you got to know what your financial cushion is. And, some people can just keep doing consulting and working in the school system so that they can prepare for whatever it is they want to. And some people just do it because they genuinely love being in the classroom. But either way it go, whatever the decision you make, it's up to you. And there's no shame in staying, there's no shame in going, and there's no shame in doing both. Whatever you choose, do it, and do it so that you make money. The goal for none of us is to just leave education 100%. This is our area of expertise. The goal is to build the business that is going to give you choices, that's going to give you freedom that you didn't have before. So when you have options, truly, you've already won, no matter which one you pick. So I just want to reiterate, don't quit your job to build a business. Build your business until it gives you the freedom to choose. Plain and simple. And again, the myth is you have to quit your job in order to become a consultant. Most successful consultants built their business first, replaced their income, and then use that stability to then leave or transition out of the school system. So I hope this is helpful. Let me give you your next steps so you know exactly what to do. Now, if this has been interesting to you, go ahead and download the free school contract starter kit. Again, inside of it, I'm going to give you everything that you need because I don't want you taking the wrong steps. I'm going to give you a step-by-step consulting roadmap for getting started. I'm going to give you the first 10 steps to build your consulting business. You don't need the first 100 steps. You only need the first 10 steps. I'm going to give you the procurement vocabulary that you need so that you know exactly how to communicate. I'm also going to give you the school funding sources so that you know where they're going to pay you from. I'm going to have you take a consultant readiness assessment so that you know exactly where you are in the process. And I'm going to top it off and give you a 30-day action plan at no charge, absolutely free, because I'm so serious. If you plan to do this, let's get it done right. And trust me when I say I'm giving you what I wish somebody had given me. I didn't have this when I started, and so I said I'm going to create it for other people. I want us to stop going to AI to ask questions. AI has never worked in a school. AI has never closed a contract. AI doesn't know the fear, the self-sabotage, the frustration, and all the things that we feel as we're moving through this, and we think that AI can just answer the question. And strategy is great. I definitely say let's work from strategy, but I also need you to know strategy without wisdom and understanding nuance will lead you down the wrong road. So click the link, download the free school contract starter kit, and I'll see you in the next one.